I'm thinking.
Okay, I found the actual source code for it.
Where is
I
it?
managed to open it from the file directly.
And you opened it with what?
Visual Studio. Same thing. It shows up fine.
But the question is why?
That would be harder to figure out because all it's doing is calling the indicators, so you'd have to go into each individual indicator.
No, but why are we not seeing it? No, what we need to see is, do we need to store it in the bin directory or something? Research and see when we're importing a strategy, where do we need to store it?
I think it should deal with that. I think the first question just doesn't work for him. That person emailed you
I got it to work.
you got it to work?
I got it to work one time. Well, I had some problems because I was running some other, I had some other issues because I ran an earlier version, and then it doesn't deal well with memory management. But I got it to work the first time. In a Virgin computer, as we say, it worked fine.
Do you want me to try it? My computer at home can probably handle a lot more. I can run it when I get back later today.
Try it. So did we turn on is this YouTube on live? Okay, just do me a favor and then we'll do it. I don't need it. Just let me get the steam and make sure the steam it works, okay? Right, the stream.
Yeah.
Let me open up a stream. Okay, I see myself. Let me make sure my mic is.
Do you know how many people are in the world? How many players there are? Do the math.
My mic is on. Good. Let me just change here. We're at 6:35. Who's hell? We're going to enter the broadcast. Doesn't like it. Let me enter the broadcast, see if it works. I'm entering the broadcast. The schedule, I'm going to share my screen. Share. I'm going to add this to my screen. I'm going to add my face to my screen. Let me send it to you, an invite. Then you can check for the audio. So did I send to you one? Did it work? Yes, no? You got it? Good. So now we got to see, we're going to go live. So we should view it on YouTube, see if we can see it.
Perfect.
It's working, good. So we should see it on YouTube, and we're just waiting to see if we hear it. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So try it at home, see what you can do.
Okay. Do you need me here or?
No, we're fine. Just, we're streaming, this looks good.
Yep.
Let me just look for a second.
And we gotta remember the.
Yeah, we gotta remember everything, right. Okay. We're live, it looks good. How we doing, folks? Okay, perfect. Okay, guys, let's take out name tags, let's make a roll. Who's gonna make a roll for me? Anybody? You got a roll? Okay, so put the date, the time, put name, first name, last name. Let's do and email, phone, and start making yourself number one and pass on the sheet. Make sure that who's doing it. We have a volunteer. Okay, we got a volunteer. Okay, so today is already October, huh? Where'd September go?
Where's the time go?
I don't know where the time, when you're having a great time, you know it moves quickly. Okay, so
Amen.
Wednesday, and we're gonna do health IT here. We're gonna do a review for the exam. We'll be talking about data. We'll be talking about security and governance. And we can see. Any questions before I begin?
Did you
But,
say phone as well?
huh? Yeah, phone, good phone. Never know. You want to call somebody? Yeah. Want to text somebody? Got their phone? Yes.
For the VIX project, how do we submit that on Blackboard? You can't.
For the what project? Wix. Okay, I'll tell you. Okay, folks. We're going to do some housekeeping. Any questions before I start? Aman, any questions? You're okay? All right. Okay, let's do some housekeeping first before we start the formal lecture here. We have an exam that's going to cover chapters 1 through 4 and chapter 9. And we'll talk about some other applications. We do not have, due to the Jewish holidays, we do not have class next week. So our exam will be on the following Wednesday, not next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, which is what? October 16th. So that's going to be a long time since I'll be able to see you. But we can speak virtually, right? You know I'm always a virtual person. That we can do this virtually. Plus, on this Monday, which is October 7th, I'll be in this lab and I'll be available at 6:15 p.m. So if you'd like to see me in the lab, have any questions that you would like to discuss in detail, I'll be available then on October 7th in the lab. And also on October 14th as well. Okay, so let me just do something. Let me just go to our content. I'll go to BTE 450, your audit area, where you have expanded rights. I'm going to go to course. You should have, for the exam, the day of the exam, you should have 4 folders called screen recording, and it should be collaborative. There should be automated trading systems. And there should be your project. On your project, there should be the time of your exam. You should have done a version of your website. That website should include your problem, I'm just going to even take yours. What's the problem? What is your competition? How are you doing it uniquely?
Like, are we just writing this, or we're like actually solving our problem on our website? Yeah.
Okay. You should have your team members. So basically, the first version of your website. Many of you will have then, you'll have your apps, you'll be doing blogs, you'll be also you'll be doing for your project is you're going to be also having it connect to social media. So even when you're using something like Wix, they have it already that you can set up a Facebook, you can set up a Twitter, you can set up an Instagram, you'll have already. So you can even have assignments already for people in your group that'll be able to do it. Some groups are bigger than the others. So you'll need already to break down what everyone in your group is going to be doing for the project and have that done. So I want already to look at that on the day of your exam. And we'll spend time, we'll be doing agile development where each week we'll be increasing this. So the more that you can do, the more feedback that I can give. Rather than leaving everybody at the end of the semester saying, this is not enough. And then you say, well, why didn't you tell me that earlier? And why we didn't have enough time. So for instance, with Angela's group, for instance, we got a lot of work to do to get it in depth. Just even getting it all over and saying, hey, we're going to get it divided up already for my software, right? Having possibly doing my blogs, having links. You can even have links to other events. You can have video where you'll be discussing some video. You can get other videos from other places to do it and to make it interactive, what you're going to be doing. Question. How do you then show that on your audit area is you need to publish your link. You need to publish it and then place your link under the folder. So what is easy for me to do, why I want to do that, let me go back. So for their final project, they should then just, if they edit their final project folder, they can already put in the link right here. Did everybody see that? So put the link right here. So everybody then can just go to everybody's area and see the link already that they need to put in. So make sure that it's published already, that we have more than just that we have the first go around that we can do then.
So once you publish it, will it, you can edit it again?
You keep on editing, right? It's not going to be locked. It's not like, when you're compiling and you only can lock it once. That's the whole idea, is that you want to keep on doing it. And for us, and right now no one's going to find you anyways right now, and then we'll be looking at Google Analytics and other SEOs to help promote you. And then later on, you may want to start off, and if you want already a domain name, notice you can use your code where Wix gave you, and you can already create your domain name. That it won't, but you can even start, even if you don't want your official domain name now, you can start with what they give you in terms of it. But give it a name that it's just not, BTE 45685 or your name. You want to have some way in which it describes what you're doing. Yes?
When do you recommend putting in like the code that the woman presented gave us? When we create it, or?
You can do either way.
Okay.
If you get what I would do now is try to discover a good domain name.
Okay.
Because each person only gets one domain name per year, so I would make sure that it was a good,
Okay.
and make sure it's available. If it's available and it's really good, then grab it.
Okay, got it.
And you get it free for a year. And the beauty is also if you have your original domain name, it's going to be easier to get searched
Right.
on the search engines and then we can start doing videos and other types of things. We'll try to do a number of sessions to try to promote it, where we'll put, for instance, what was your project? Remind me.
Like a breast.
Breast cancer. So if people were looking for breast cancer support or something like that, you want to be able to get high up in the search engines that they can do it. So women of whatever, and I would make it, since you're going to try to do the demo for UM, I would still, this is my own opinion, is maybe not do UM and make it more generic, that we're not tied to it, or something like that. And see, how many people are there? 3 in your group?
Yes.
So it may be you can do 3 different versions of it.
Okay.
Women of, for breast cancer support or something like that, where you have 3 different ones, or start with one and then you have 2 other choices that you can take advantage of.
Okay, got it.
And then once you have that, then we can start using, and then when you register for it, I'd go for the very top. So I'd even go for the part where it's e-commerce, maybe then later on for revenue generation. You could sell, t-shirts or support, just like how they're doing the pink ribbons. Notice how that made a thing. You can make something of support where you can even, give donations. See where you can do you want to donate as we do. So I think it's awesome. The more that we work and we can have like silent time here, that you can even come to me even or if you want to, you can even send me your link and say, can you check this out before the time? I'm open for you. Anytime you're available, I want to be available. Yes.
For the project, in the proposal, we already said how we're solving it and that kind of thing. Does that need to be on the website as well? That's the something.
Yeah, you want the website to grab it, but you don't want to. It'll be in a different format because it's a website. In terms of the competition, you want to maybe be able to see how we're different. You know what I'm saying? You may want to couch it a little bit different, but it should be there. There should be a tab of who's on the team, with your pictures and.
Kind of like a proposal, but it's on the website. And,
It's more than a proposal. This is what it is. It's not going to be a proposal. It's not asking for my permission any longer.
Right.
Remind me, what is yours?
Ours is the prescription app, but I mean just in terms of what we're doing to solve the problem.
Yeah, what were the issues? Basically the same thing. Why would they come to, how are you doing? What is the problem? How we're going to do it differently? But describe it. So make it as, this is going to be our website, and then we'll have the app, and then later on you'll have a link to get our app. But this is describing what our app is going to be about, how we're going to be different, how we're going to get resources, what's our revenue model. So a venture capitalist could look at yours and say, hey, I want to invest in those.
So we're selling it to.
Yeah. Selling it to me, selling it to the world. Selling it to yourself.
I guess so.
Selling to everyone and start doing it. And then you can even already think about the social media aspect of it, right? So in Wix, when you create it, it automatically comes up with, by default, comes up with their Facebook and their, Twitter account. You can even already start doing a Facebook and start doing a Twitter and social media. And then we'll try to, after the exam, we'll work on SEO. Making you well known. Questions on that? Everybody clear? So I don't want to use this, since it's a long time, I want to use basically 2 weeks, that you should have a lot ready for your for your project. Use it and notice on Wednesday nights you have this lab. You can even meet with your group here in the lab. You can meet with them virtually. That's the beauty too, right? You have the tools now to meet with them virtually, that you can have conference calls with them. You can record what you've done to get feedback. What else? Any other questions? So that should be number 1 for your homework. Number 2. Let me go back. And in automated trading systems, you should have then your optimization as well as your companies and define them of your algorithms. Questions? Your exam will cover chapters 1 through 5, 1 through 4, chapter 9 will also be about your about data analytics. We'll be discussing as well capturing data. How can you capture data? How can you capture? What kind of tools have we done to capture data here? Anybody know what it means by a key logger? What's a key logger? Where's my roll? Is my roll finished? Where's the roll? Where did it end up? Did you guys sign the roll? Somebody's sitting on it? Somebody's eating it? Or what? Eating, so move on with the roll. Who hasn't signed the roll? Raise your hand. So this whole, so what do we have? What do we see? Good idea. Okay, so let's move it. All right. All these people are suffering being with me, and they're not even getting credit for it. What a lose situation. Okay, so so what's a key logger? Who can tell me? And if you don't know, what should you do?
Google it.
Right. So what are you sitting there for?
A keylogger is something that registers what someone types on the keyboard.
Okay. Are you reading that, or this is just from the bottom of your heart?
Bottom of my
Bottom of your heart.
not
Bottom
there,
of.
right?
Okay. So if I type in keylogger, what's a keylogger here? A keylogger is sometimes called a keystroke logger. A system monitor is a type of surveillance technology used to monitor and record keystrokes. Let me just see here. Did you hit this? Scroll down. Keystrokes. Type of surveillance used to monitor and record each keystroke typed on a specific computer's keyboard. Keylogger software is also available for use on smartphones, such as Apple's iPhone. Keyloggers are often used as spyware tool by cyber criminals to steal personally identified information, login credentials, sensitive enterprise data. Keylogger recorders may also be used by employers to observe employees' computer activities. Is that in this institution, can they do that?
Yes.
Can they do it just for employees? Who's not an employee here? Raise your hand. 2 people are not employees. Everyone else, 3, 4, that's it. 5 are not employees. So can an institution take these people and put these surveillance systems on them legitimately, legally?
I think they can.
They can't. Why? If you're not an employee.
So people don't steal it.
No, but why can they? What is the justification? What? You're using that. Anybody ever log on to this institution's network, right? There's something that's written. You ever read any of that? No, right? It's just like anything else, any software, right? Have you ever read any of Apple's agreements, Google agreements? You know, it's pages and pages, right? And sophisticated lawyers, I know one in Stanford, says he took the entire library and posted it on the walls of the statements there, and he couldn't even figure it out, you know, of what they're saying. So they do, because what? You're using their network. So my question to you, everybody understand what this is doing? So Angela, what is a keylogger then?
Let me look it up real quick.
Okay, good. So what is a keylogger? If I said before what a keylogger was, right, is often used as spyware tool, right, to what?
Record
It captures keystrokes. Did we use anything like that in the class, Angela? Did we capture, does anybody remember, did we use, everybody understand? If I go onto my Windows machine and I type step recorder, steps recorder was really problems recorder. When I typed, do you remember, Angela? Wait, it's already running, right? Do you remember that? If I say new recording, and I say what? I say new recording, and let's say I wanted to shrink this screen, or I want to minimize this screen. I want to move this screen over here and open a new tab, and I want to, I want to go back to the old tab, and I want to stop the recorder. It says, look at this. You'll get so excited, Angela, just like me. Okay, so what does it say here? It's funny how I get excited over things that most people don't. Okay, so what does it say here? Step 1, user mouse drag, start on untitled notepad window in untitled, right here. You see how it's green? Do you see how it's highlighted green? And then it goes to the next step 2. User mouse drag. Do you see how it's going the steps? Notice my notepad disappeared. Step 5, user mouse drag. Not only is it doing keystrokes, but it's doing what? Screenshots. Basically, you can think about step recorder as a keylogger. The difference is most people that think about keyloggers, they think about it is that it's in stealth mode. What's stealth mode? What does stealth mean? Hannah, what does stealth mean?
Sneaky or like secretive.
Secret. It means not knowing about it. Meaning that somebody could have a keylogger on our machine that's recording exactly like this, and we're not aware of it. It sits in memory somewhere, and it sends the file not necessarily to my computer, but to a server in the cloud or someone else's computer. So keylogger, you have one, you just didn't know you had it. But it's not in stealth mode. So just like technology can be used for criminals and non-criminals, technology can be used for good and for bad. It can be used productively. You can see how this is for, if I have a problem, it can record it. But also, if I want to spy on you, not only can I put it on the software, but anybody hear about, remember Iran? There was something called Stuxnet. Basically, the Israelis supposedly put in on the hardware, they put a way in which into Windows, they basically installed, not only did they record voices and record the screens, but they also could put in some malicious software. When somebody does what? Links. Hits on a link, or even when it's installed. So that's what it's called in terms of keylogger capturing data. So what else can capture data? Remember we did when we captured the data, what's the difference between, you're on a roll, Andrew, what's the difference between step recorder and screencasting? Did you do the assignment on screencasting? Right, so what's the difference?
Well, screencasting will record like every step that's happening in a video form. And then
In video format versus the step recorder, it's recording in what? In print format. Same kind of thing. So you could even do stealth mode of video of someone, and then I can capture your voice, right? As you're discussing that. Right now there's a number of ways in which I can, now there's software maliciously that I can turn on your camera on your phone. I can turn, even if your phone is shut down, is turned off. I mean, there's a number of different ways in which we can do it. And based on that, in security, health security, when we want then the patient and the facility to be secure, no one's checking on this. You know, right? If we think about it, everybody's worried about that we see that I'm going to keep my passwords connected, I'm going to get user ID, but nobody thinks what was actually put on my software to record or physically recording that. So I wanted to make sure that you understood here that that key software of spyware then can be used to steal then that personal identifiable information that we have and the types of spyware that we can do whether and there's how do you try to prevent that is they have something called a keylogger sniffer that can intercept and decrypt that information between a wireless keyboard and its receiver. Okay? Let's go through the PowerPoints then. And I'm going to go to Vital Source 2. A good way to study is that you can go through your quizzes. Everybody know how to review your quizzes if you've taken it more than once? Anyone? Go to your, of course I would love to tell you. Go to your, try it now. Go to Blackboard, the regular Blackboard, and go to your grades, my grades, because I don't have it. I can't do it like you do because I'm not an end user. I'm not a student. Everybody do that? And then go to one of your grades that you got, I guess your last grade, and click on it and see if you can see it. You can see the quiz? Okay, everybody do it. Help your neighbors. Now is the time to help your neighbors. In the exam, it's not going to be a time to help your neighbors, but now it is. Okay? Did everybody find it? Help your neighbors. Everybody find it? Because that's important. It wouldn't be, it's good, no? So that way you can see what you've done. So go through your quizzes that way. Also, go through the book and the chapters. So let me go through the printout and the chapters. Also, if you go to the very end of your web links, everybody go to your web links. The last 3 articles, let me put that in. your last 3 articles on web links. And this is in your regular section. One is automated trading systems. The pros and cons. The other one is basics. Algorithmic trading concepts. And examples. And the third one is security rule. You should read those 3. Plus, in your regular section, under course documents, under course documents, you should then go over the PowerPoint automated trading systems. .ppt. Let me open up that. Yes.
So this is on top of the regular PowerPoint, so we should go over as well.
Yeah. The regular PowerPoints 1 through 4 in Chapter 9, the regular PowerPoints, I'm adding an additional PowerPoint. So when I say here, chapters 1 through 4 through 9 are the regular ones. This one, I'm adding an additional one of automated trading system PowerPoint. Yes?
If it's not in the PowerPoint, but it's in the book, is it fair game or?
Yeah, I'll go through it. I'll go through it. Okay? My goal here is not to, I want to spend as much time in answering all those questions. But, you know, in the book, it's like huge, right? There's so much in the book. So, you know, it's like, also, let me just remind you too, make a sheet with the acronyms, acronym sheet. You can have it front and back. You can make it small print, large print. You can write it by hand. You can type it. You know, I don't care. But my main thing is I don't want you to be spending hours remembering what is ACO, what is ONC. We got better things to do with I do anyways. I don't know about you, but I have better things to do with my life than memorize acronyms and the meanings of it. But you understand? So let me do that. So on this one, on this is my automated algorithmic software trading systems. What the key here in these slides is that the whole idea, where is data going to in the future? Where is data going in healthcare? And where is data going in medicine? When I keep on saying data, 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 is we've all heard about AI. We've all heard about the buzzword machine learning. And by the way, if you can add that to your website, AI or machine learning, investors, they're saying we'll pay extra money for it, right? But the idea is that we have to use it judiciously and it has to make sense. But think about it in healthcare is the idea of an algorithm. And I don't care if you're, this is algorithmic trading is used in healthcare as well and in prediction, but it's used in other areas of technology. So when we think about it, an algorithm. We know an algorithm, of course, even in computer programming, the basics, or in any task, what we do is a specific set of clearly defined instructions aimed to carry out a task or a process. There's now something even called robotic process automation. Who's my BTE majors? How many do I have? One now? Only one admits to being a BTE? Two, slightly, three. Okay, so what is RPA? Have you heard about that? My BTE majors, have we heard about that? You know what? You got to hear about that, and everybody has to hear about it. Google it right now. There's tremendous work in this area. Tremendous work in this area. I need to really spend about 10 hours with you a day, I think. So, anyway, because you know, it breaks my heart if you haven't heard about it, you know what I mean? So if I do RPA, right, the meaning that if I look about it is, notice this for Gartner even, RPA vendors is RPA process automation. And basically is basically, notice they're even using the team. You know, I love these ads. Why do I love these ads? Some people don't, I never like to click on them, but I love to read them because, you know, when they write these ads, they know these are the buzzwords they're supposed to use. RPA software delivers the most successful digital workforce. Start your artificial intelligence transformation. Agile and cost-effective. Leading RPA software. Automate back office. Automate any application. Reduce overhead costs. Meet a digital workforce. But if you look at this, look what it is. Robotic process automation is an emerging form of business process automation technology based on the notion of metaphorical software robots or artificial intelligent workers. Basically what it is, any process that you have on the back end of a system, Angela, is what we want to automate. So they have tools. Once I know what the process is, what do I want to do? I want the computer to do it. Because what? That one process, do we do it over and over and over again? Sure. Get the computer to do it. And then we can add on top of it artificial intelligence. Then we can add on top of it machine learning, just like we did in the automated trading systems. You want to go through 500 healthcare stocks every day and see what was the market today? Anybody know? Way down, right? So do you think anybody made any money on that? Was everybody losing? Based on what we knew in here? Who do you think anybody gained today with the market going down? They short. They were excited because why? Because the machines saw it's starting to go down. The slope was negative. The R-square was high. Giving more probability to what? I'm betting the market's going down and they made money. How this world works, right? And everybody's saying, woe is me, woe is certain people. So this whole idea of automation, I want you to think about it in healthcare. Why don't I have intelligent conversation? So I have healthcare providers, I have my physical therapists, I have my physicians do intellectual work rather than busy work. That they're not tired by the end of 12 o'clock at night filling out forms. But what they're going to do is intellectually be doing it, and if they know some things, maybe what they can do is they can hand it off to people that are less sophisticated than them that can run some programs to help them. And use Dr. Chandler's knowledge and get it into a computer program, and then what it's going to do is bring her knowledge when she sees a kidney patient that someone out in the field or somewhere else in the world can get her advice. But her knowledge is already in the system, and then she can use her time efficiently rather than doing busy work. So it's the idea, it's all great, right? It's easy to say, but that's what we should be doing, that she shouldn't be having a patient and she's looking at the computer typing. She didn't go to medical school to learn how to type. But she should be looking at the patient, right? Examining the patient, not looking at her keyboard, not looking at her screen, filling out all those silly, witchy kind of things. And afterwards, it should be coming up and marking that and being efficient. So that's what our goal is, that the technology should help us get better health outcomes. That's what I get excited about. And if we can find ways for you guys to do your products, that should be our goal, is to get better health outcomes. Basically more patient engagement or whatever we're talking about that is measurable. That's what we want, not just to use technology for technology's sake, not to burden us with it, not to make us feel like we want to throw it out the window, right? So this is what I want you to do, the key here, and that's why I'm showing you that even when I go through that PowerPoint, where I say that of an algorithmic, that this is what especially my BT, but everyone wants to know, who's in finance? Thinking about healthcare sector, that whole healthcare sector, what should you be doing is really getting into that RPA. That it's basically what I'm thinking about, that robotic process automation, all that back end. You shouldn't be having people then sit there and try and start analyzing with the computer. There should be algorithms already that compute it, and then you kind of use your knowledge to add into it. Because there's going to be a blend here of what you're going to be able to do. And then you think about the personalized medicine, and I can think about other areas to get to. So you need to know what an algorithm is, and once we have the algorithm, we can use that algorithm, we can automate many tasks. One task that we looked at, just as an example, is automating trading, where it's a process of using computers programmed to follow a defined set of instructions for placing and trade, and in order, what's my goal? To generate a profit. Today was a day that went down the market, and what I want my algorithm to do what? To short. Or when it's going down really and I'm in a trade, it's to cut my losses or to get me out. Or to stop the market, to stop it if it's going crazy completely, that I can't. Because sometimes, you know what happens, Sebastian, sometimes you say I want to short, but the market's going down so swiftly, you can't catch it. It's almost like a falling knife. So at least what you want to say you want to be able to have the program do it is get me out, exit with a minimum loss. And then I can come back the next day or the next time. So this is an area which you want to do. And then you have something called high frequency trading, which is what? We looked at what? End of day data, you remember? What high frequency trading is it's looking at not end of day, but fractions of a second. And you can think about that trading system, even in healthcare, a lot of times you want that not even minute data from those IoT machines, but you want them in fractions of a second. And then you have robots doing that in processing and also in software trading. So my idea of the software trading robots is just to give you an example, that same processes can be used for any type of data. It doesn't need to be trading. And then I want to have some type of audit system to see what's happening in the system. Is anybody abusing the system? If we do a clinical trial, and let's say I work with Dr. Chander and I'm saying, you know what, let's do a clinical trial. I get information that our trial failed before it was announced. And I then end up telling Rachel, you know what? That company I was so excited about investing in, right? Their trial failed, right? And she goes and does what? Sells it, right? Or shorts. And a number of people short. What do we say? I want a system to automate to see before we made that announcement, there was the activity that there's warning. for that system. So as well, you want audit trails to be able to see, is everybody in the same playing field? Is everybody using it properly? And it's just like the audit trail, that maybe if I have suspicious activity, I should then be able to use some of those key loggers, what we're talking about, because I can then have, there's someone that's doing damage, either to the IoT, to any of these systems that are attached to my patients, or in financial shenanigans. I want to be able to know that, so I have systems that are auditing, but I don't need people sitting there and looking at logs. And that's what a lot of times with security too, with security problems. So I'm able to do that, and then you need to know what are the advantages of these automated systems. Of course, basically it preserves my discipline, it improves my speed, it diversifies, it minimizes my emotions. Remember we did the back test? The disadvantages, right? Mechanical failures, monitoring, and then those other articles. Remember I had an article on the pros and cons? So what do you think it would be a good open-ended question? And show examples of that, of what you've done in your homeworks, right? That's one good question, right there. I'm here to support you. I want everybody to succeed. If you put in the effort, why not? I'm here to boost you. I'm your booster here. And here are examples of, there's platforms, just like there's platforms, and if you look at that robotic processing systems that I want my health sector management and my BTE majors to look at, there's a whole number of platforms there that just do automation, that you become an expert in those robotic processing automation. And of course they have some coding behind it, but a lot of it's done automatically, right? And you go into systems and you say, where else can they do? You just basically could be a consultant and say, hey, I'm going into a company. Where are they doing manual types of work still? What can we process those types of back-end systems? Where can we, anything digitally? And then they say, hey, listen, a lot of times people say, oh, but I'm going to lose my job. Well, maybe look at it a different way. Maybe you'll have more interesting work to do, rather than that menial type of work that you do over and over again. Or they're going to get rid of you anyways. So you better get skills, right, to be able to do that. Because later on, even people have been thinking about even programming can be automated a lot of times, of writing and then the programming on the back. So then you need to think about all the time of where am I going to add intelligence to it. Okay. All right, everybody understand that one? So add this along with the 2 readings that I gave you in your web links. Okay? Chapter 1, let me even just start with chapter 1. Basically, they're starting out with, in 1991, basically, this is kind of like the beginning of the Institute of Medicine, IOM, right? You're going to have in your sheet there what the IOM stands for. They had a report called the Computer-Based Patient Record, an essential technology for healthcare. That really brought ahead international attention to the numerous problems in paper-based medical records. Can you believe that? In 1991, I'm just shocked. 91, we're talking about paper records. And why we have to think about that whole idea of what they called electronic patient records. That was like a seminal report. Put that in your notes then, that this was a seminal report on that computer-based patient record. And what came after that was in 1996, of course, with President Clinton and Shalala, that some of you may know, right? Who was our president. They advocated the law that HIPAA, right, that we all talk about, that Health Insurance Portability Accountability Act. And the whole idea there was HIT, which is Health Information Technologies, was for the purpose, was brought to the attention. And with the internet coming about, you can't think about it, is all of a sudden, we're thinking about building a safer healthcare system. And we started talking about patient safety became a key, and about transparency of safety. And of course, you know, CMS, you're going to put that in your cheat sheet of the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. And President Bush then in 2004 started establishing what we call the ONC, the Office of the National Coordinator for Health Information Technology. And along with that became the HITECH Act. You need to know HITECH, HITECH, which was the Health Information Technology for Economic and Health and Clinical Health. And along with that, we had HIE, another one, which is what? Health Information Exchange. So who cares? Basically, you can think about it this way. This is how I explain it. Our healthcare system is not so great in the United States to begin with, right? Everybody knows we spend a lot of money, right? And we're not getting the best results. But what the key here is that the healthcare industry was slow to technology, especially on the back end. Their administrative, their patient center is much more backwards than other industries. It was the slowest to move. Some of the things that they're advancing in, and a lot of their technology was used maybe in terms of robotics and surgery, maybe in other ways in the genome projects and things like that. But in the back end, what I call the back end, the administrative end, the financial end, was very slow. And that's why I'm always so excited when I talk to you. I said, you've got great opportunities here. Even though, you know, as a patient or as a provider, you're saying, my goodness, I'm frustrated with it. Or the idea of costs, right, of transparency of the costs, right? How even people in the system don't even know what the costs are. What other industry can you even think about is that you don't, even the hospitals themselves don't even know their own costs, let alone not trying to make it transparent. What other industry doesn't know their costs? How do you mark up something? Just arbitrarily? So these are areas. So what's the area? So the HITECH all of a sudden says, hey, we're going to make an act here that's going to strengthen what? The technology. I'm going to give incentives to those technologies. And at the time, this is incredible, 12% in 2010, hospitals had implemented an EHR. Can you imagine? 12% of the hospital. When was 2010? 9 years ago? I mean, think about it in a bank. A bank, you didn't think 12% of banks use a computer? Give me a break. In hospitals, 12%? Now it's about what? Anybody know? What percentage of hospitals are now using electronic health records? What percent?
100%.
Close to 99 point whatever percent. So at least we got that far. Can you imagine? But now the question is whether they're using it effectively, right? Whether it works what we want. So what they ended up doing is that's why we had something, you need to know this, is we had something called meaningful use of EHRs. I call it MU. I'm giving you the background. So the government really wanted it because the government wanted it because they said we need to improve the health of our population. We need to get better outcomes. How can we get better outcomes? We need to do it digitally, of course. I need a forecast, right? How do I forecast? I need data. What am I going to have? Everybody start typing in their data? Give me a break. I don't even want to download every day, right, all the healthcare stocks, let alone I don't want to start scanning in data, converting it. So they did incentives to get people, and they said, we just don't want you to use this system. We want you to use it meaningfully to get closer to get better, providing for better health care. So these incentives, they had these stages of meaningful use. And why do they have stages? Because I can't go from 0 to a hero in a short period of time. I have to get you to get stages. So the first stage is, let me just capture your data. Let me just capture your clinical conditions. And then later on, I want stage 2 to have rigorous HIE. What's HIE, folks?
Health information.
Exchange, that you can basically exchange. Can you imagine an industry saying a bank, what bank do you go to? What bank do you have? What bank do you have? Sierra Bank. A local bank, whatever it is. And let's say I want to transfer money to you in a local bank. Can you imagine that I can't do that? I have people overseas. Anybody have anybody overseas they know they want to transfer money, right? Can you imagine I wouldn't be able to transfer money? This is what is in healthcare. One hospital can't transfer from another easily. So all of a sudden, industry like this is HIE. We got to figure out a way to do it. Now, in most other countries, when they have what they call a one-payer system or what they call socialized medicine, or they basically the government gives health care to everyone, there's not an issue like that. But what the government could do is, what do they control? What health care do they control? Do they control anything? They control what? They control for the old, right? Medicare, and they can control what? For the very, basically indigent, what they call Medicaid. So when those populations where the government control it, then they can say, we can give incentives. And that's how it is in terms of this meaningful use and these incentives. And these other programs then, we're trying then for this Affordable Care Act, was trying something, and put this in your notes then, all of a sudden saying, has been aggressively pursuing a value-based payment method. And there's another one you should put in your notes, another acronym called MIPS. I'm getting tired of all these acronyms, aren't you?
Yes.
So can you imagine if you had to memorize it? Jesus. I would be cruel to do something like that. You know what I mean? I don't want to be cruel. I want to be kind. So in this case, in this case, it's merit-based incentive payment system that will replace it, including other ones. MIT will use a set of performance measures divided into categories, calculate a score for eligible professionals. All of these have issues, of course, because we still want, they're trying to come up with these categories. Alternative payment methods, ways to get payment. But here, and HIT interoperability efforts. We'll talk about it later. Milestones. There's something called H-level, HL7. But all of this is for interoperability. What is interoperability? If somebody said, I have problems with interoperability, what does that mean? Getting my data from one system to another. And I have to find ways in which to get my data from one system to the other, so they have standards. They have something called ANSI. What's ANSI? Anybody hear about ANSI? ANSI is a way to say, we got standards from data that I can do. Remember how we talked about comma-separated values? You remember that? That's like a standard that I can read one to the other. That's interoperability. HL7, anybody ever hear of HTML? Of course, right? Is markup language. Anybody hear of XML? HTML is the way that a website looks, right? It's the color, the feel of the way a website looks. HTML is called hypertext markup language. You don't need to know that now. I don't think I give you any questions on it. But it's just the way something looks and feels, right? It's a tag system. It really started from, can I take your book for a second? Markup languages started even from books. Books, hard-covered books have a markup language. Everybody knows that? When I see, for instance, this font size, right? When I see the footnotes, when I see a title, publishers, when they do it, they use a markup language. What is it? It's just a tag. It's a less than sign and a greater than sign, and it's a tag, right? Bold and end bold, right? Title and end title. That's it. HTML is how it looks. What's XML? Anybody hear about XML? And if you haven't, what should you do?
Extensible markup language.
And what's in common here? ML, markup language. So if I do XML, is extendable markup language, it means it's data about data. I'm going to extend the markup language to extend that I know about the data. So let's start with the stock thing, what we know. What fields are important in my trading? What's the first field that's going to be important? When you downloaded that spreadsheet, what's going to be important? The fields are what? Column headings, right? What's important? Give me one.
Prices.
But even before, symbol, right? The symbol. AAPL, right? IBM, GE, what else? The open, right? The close,
The net profit.
right? All of those are basically, I can do symbols. And what's the difference, and put this in your notes, what's the difference of extensible markup language? It's going to describe the fields. It's going to describe the elements. So basically what I can do is I can search. Find me all those stocks that had profit per month over 10% or over 5% and are in the biotech industry and sell, and their price is their open is between $10 and $15. If I know those characteristics of that field, I can do queries to it. That's XML. So what do you think HL7 is? H stands for what? You think? Health. And basically he's saying, guess what? In health, we have certain elements. So if you go into a hospital and you need those demographics of next of kin, right? Your insurance name, your first name, your last name, and of course your insurance, right? All of those fields, then we can then describe them, make them as an industry. Everybody has the same names, and then we can transfer the data from one system to another. That's all it is. And they have it for XML. They have it for every industry. You know, if I'm in the auto industry, if I'm in the book industry, what are going to be my elements? The title of the book, the author of the book, the ISBN number, the copyright, right? The auto industry is going to have different, and health is going to have different. It's almost like when you think about the codes, but it's the same way. I told you I need 10 hours with you. Okay, and so what you can see here is all these, and guess what they're all of a sudden saying? Healthcare all of a sudden, because we can't interoperability issues, we got to do exchanges, we got to set up standards that one record can be read by everybody. Do you think the banks have it? What do you think? Come on. Of course they do. How else could you then transfer money? You get a paycheck ever? How else could you get your paycheck sent to your bank? How else can we do any e-commerce? How do credit cards work? Of course they have it. So in summary here, what I would do then is I would read through these summaries, read through the PowerPoint, and then these are my key terms I would look at. I'd first start off with the quizzes. I got the quizzes already. I'd start off with that. And now somebody just told me, right, how to get into it and how to read it. That's it.